Anyway, I'm going to be crossing over now to one of my favourite people on the planet. I'm such a lucky thing. It's a great friend of mine, Peggy Grande. She used to be executive assistant to Ronald Reagan, believe it or not, and a political appointee in the Trump White House. I love her to bits. You're going to as well. Let's welcome her aboard the Good Ship Talk. Here's Peggy Grande. Hi, Peggy.
Hi, Alex. How are you today? Lovely to see you.
It's so good. How do you always look so glamorous? I mean, I wasn't even doing the sort of all-nighter listening to the American results come in, and I still feel a little bit sort of worn out. You look amazing.
Well, it's an exciting time. I'm very happy.
It is. Did you get to go to any of the big parties?
I did not. I've been on media from rooftops to my apartment. So I've been on camera more than I've been out and about. But there is a palpable excitement amongst not just Republicans, but Americans across this nation who have clapped back on the progressive extreme policies of the left and said, we want common sense back in America again, and we want Donald Trump to lead that.
Yes, did you actually think he's spoken a lot about uniting the country, and there was this huge sort of, I think, movement of positivity after that first assassination attempt where people just went, oh my goodness, things have gotten so far. When, you know, the former president is almost being shot on the campaign trail. And then, of course, there were two other attempts and people seemed to sort of, I don't know, almost acclimatise to it. But do you think America, apart from a few nutters, is ready to get behind Donald Trump and come together for the sake of the country?
Well, 72 million of us are, definitely. Of course, there's always going to be his detractors, but they're going to have to start paying attention because they did not learn the lesson of 2016, and they still haven't stopped to figure out exactly who a Trump voter is. They have demonized us, calling us Nazis and fascists and smelly Walmart shoppers and gun-toting, Bible-thumping pieces of garbage, and then they're the ones that talk about tolerance and unity. But actually, the people who voted for Donald Trump want crime to go down. They want prices to go down. They want the chaos on the world stage to be tamped down. They want common sense to enter into government again. They want government to work for us, not against us. They want government to solve problems, not create problems. And so these are the things that people looked to Donald Trump and they said, regardless of what the mainstream media and the world is screaming about who he is, a Russian asset, Hitler, all these terrible things, we actually think he knows how to solve problems because we saw him do it once before. He's promised to do it again. He's shown us that he can be a fighter. He was dragged into court. He was, as you mentioned, there was 2 assassination attempts. There was 2 impeachments. And he stood up, raised his fist and said, fight, fight, fight. That wasn't for him. That was for all of us who want him to fight on our behalf.
Why do they not get it, Peggy? You know, we see the same stuff over here in Europe, the demonisation of Giorgia Meloni. People sort of think, oh, you know, she loves Mussolini, she's a monster, she's going to be so dangerous. Well, it turns out her popularity is on the up. She's tackling the migrant crisis in her own country. The Italian economy is climbing again after years of being in the doldrums. And she's become so popular that even now Sir Keir Starmer wants to go and bask in her glory. And yet a lot of this, I mean, look, it comes from political people. When you look at some of the tweets that have been put out over the years by the Labour Party, it's absolutely astonishing. But in America, it's your media. I couldn't believe some of the stuff on MSNBC when Trump had the Madison Square Gardens rally, and then they were sort of, you know, split screening it with a Nazi rally 85 years ago. What is wrong with these people?
And how many rock concerts have been held in that venue or other speakers speaking, but they pull that as the comparison. They don't have a curiosity for the average American. They fly over middle America. They don't have an appreciation that there are the people who build things, grow things, make things, fix things. They don't know these people. They don't talk to these people. They don't have a curiosity for their lives or show any appreciation for them. And if you want to understand where the focus is on the left and on the right, look at the closing statements and speeches that both parties gave. Kamala Harris was surrounded by celebrities, people who are totally insulated from the pain of the policies of the Biden-Harris administration for the last 4 years. They go home to their private security behind their closed gates. They can eat and go and do whatever they want and never worry about money, where the average American cannot do that these days under Biden-Harris policies. By contrast, you look at Donald Trump and who was behind him on the stage? Union workers, steel workers. They were wearing hard hats. They were wearing construction vests. These are the backbone of America. Donald Trump sees them. He knows them, he values them, he advocates for them, and he is fighting for them. And so they, in return, are giving their loyalty to him and to trust him to return America to its greatness. And Donald Trump has actually promised to usher in the golden age of America. I don't know about you, but I'm excited to see what he can do with 4 more years of incredible leadership, turning this country around and taking it to new heights.
Pegs, I am well excited because I kind of hope we're stuck with a Labour government here, aren't we, who are doing some pretty communist things, and I'm kind of hoping that actually this sort of wave of positivity, the anti-wokery, the anti-globalist agenda that Donald Trump is going to bring back, and actually the common sense, like you said, restoring our historic values and pride in the West and patriotism and saying there's nothing wrong with that, and protecting borders is exactly the right thing to do. I'm hoping actually now that, you know, Sir Keir Starmer is going to be hemmed in on all sides by the populist tide over on the continent of Europe and in America, that he might feel like A, he's more inclined to be a little less communist, and B, he has the political cover to do so. I've got a funny story for you here, Peggy. If you're worried about the Democrats creating a lot of little Democrats and blighting the future of America, don't worry, because apparently liberal women have sworn to go on sex strike over Donald Trump's election win. Apparently this is, yeah, exactly, a Korean feminist movement vowed to withhold sex from men in order to redefine the gender power balance. Why are so many people on the left just nutty? They're absolutely mad.
They're in their own echo chamber. And it was interesting to that point, you know, the left was trying to champion abortion and trying to appeal to the Hispanic community. If you know anything about Hispanics, they love big families. They want to have more babies, not less babies. And so it just goes to show they were taking an agenda, they were trying to force feed it onto an American electorate that had said, we're not interested. We don't want this, but they had divided us into little boxes and force-fed us an agenda and the lines and the lies that they wanted to perpetrate. This election, these results, not only for Donald Trump to win electorally like he did, and he will probably, when it's all said and done, be over 300 electoral points. He won the popular vote by over 5 million votes. He's going to flip the Senate. He probably will take the House and hold the House. And this means that mainstream media has basically written their own obituary. Nobody is listening to them. They don't have influence. People aren't trusting what they're saying. They're voting their own mind, which is a great American trait. And just when we thought we were on the brink of despair, where America and the world could not survive 4 more years of this progressive ideology under Biden and Harris, the American people said no. They said, we the people tell the government what to do, not the other way around. So this is a great day for America, for the world, and a great day for democracy.
I mean, what's astonishing is this time around, like you said, Trump's going to have all the tools at his disposal to get things done. Things won't necessarily be held up in either houses. And hopefully as well when it comes to the Supreme Court. What do you sort of think he might do with this? I mean, let's talk about some of the policies that we might see enacted. He's going to bring in Elon Musk. I mean, that could be fun. But I think we're living in a sort of huge schism at the moment where the politics of the last 20, 30, 40 years seem to be dead and dying in the West. The public have fought back. They said, we don't want globalisation. We don't want supranational governance. We want people who stand up for us and people who are strong. And Donald Trump is definitely that. What do you foresee he might do with this?
Well, he's told us exactly what he's going to do, and it will be, in a way, a continuation of his first term. He's going to put America first, as every leader of their country should put their own country first. What is that going to look like? We know he's going to close the border. Joe Biden undid almost 100 executive orders within his first week in office that has created the chaos we see at the southern border, which is creating all kinds of problems all over the nation, not just along the southern border states. So he's going to close that border, and with it, he's going to close off the pipeline to the drug cartels, to fentanyl, to sex trafficking, to human trafficking, to child slave labor, all these terrible things that have happened from the open border. We also know he's going to unleash American energy and energy dominance and independence once again. America was energy independent under Donald Trump previously, and Joe Biden has gone back to buying oil from people who hate us in parts of the world that don't do it as cleanly as we do here. He's going to restore law and order, not only domestically by funding our police and our military, but establishing rule of law. And by Donald Trump just very much taking office, chaos all over the world is going to change, because we know that American weakness gives strength to the world. We need to go back to a place where our allies trust us, where our enemies fear us, and that's going to happen under Donald Trump. And then he's going to let the American people do what they do best by lowering regulations, by getting government off the backs and out of the way of hardworking American people. He's going to unleash American ingenuity, innovation, unleash them to build, to create, to invent, to dream once again. And once you give the American people an open runway, they are going to take off, and I look forward to them doing it under his leadership the next 4 years.
Oh, Peggy, you paint such a wonderful picture. We're all very jealous that you get Donald Trump and we have Sir Keir Starmer. It just doesn't seem very fair. Now, before I let you go...
To your point, I do think that it will be a positive influence on the world stage. We look back to Ronald Reagan, and at his first G7 he went to, they kind of mocked his tax cuts and his, focus on reducing regulations. And a year or two later, when he went back to that same group, they said, tell us about the American miracle. And they implemented and instituted many of those same policies in other places in the world. So good policy, if it's well implemented and Donald Trump gets an opportunity to do that within his first 2 years, we're going to see America turn around really quickly. And hopefully the UK and other places around the world will take note and follow suit.
I really hope so. I mean, that is what we all hope as well. I think there's a huge sense of optimism here in the UK. Those of us on the right, we've clearly got a load of people also weeping into their cornflakes, as you do the other side of the pond. But we do have a huge sense of optimism that hopefully sort of the magic of Trumpism, if it's a success, will rub off on us, despite who we have in number 10. I mean, before I let you go, Peggy, let's talk about the Democrats' reaction to this. I think they fought a dirty campaign. I think their rhetoric was reckless and dangerous, downright nasty. I think it alienated people. I think they've realised that. Now they seem to be being sort of magnanimous in a smug way by saying, well, we're going to help with the transition. Oh, we're going to be there to support Donald Trump. Let's have a little listen to what Joe Biden said at the White House earlier.
The people vote and choose their own leaders, and they do it peacefully. And we're in a democracy. The will of the people always prevails. Yesterday, I spoke with President-elect Trump to congratulate him on his victory. And I assured him that I'd direct my entire administration to work with his team to ensure a peaceful and orderly transition.
Oh, well, how nice. But, Peggy, do you think that's sort of a little bit too late to start playing nice?
Absolutely. And, I watched his speech just a few minutes ago, and I wrote something else down too, which on paper sounds lovely. And he says, we can not only love America when we win, we can not only love our neighbor when we agree. And while we agree with that in principle, we have not seen that play out. Joe Biden, when he took office, he promised to be the president of unity. He promised to be the president for all Americans, whether or not they voted for him. And what has he done? He has demonized and used horrific rhetoric, not only against Donald Trump, but against all of his supporters, most recently calling them garbage. And then you look at all the surrogates for the Democrats, saying Donald Trump's never surrounded by strong, intelligent women, calling them un-American, Nazis, fascists, these terrible things. And this is the party who's going to bring unity and be divisive and says we can't just love our neighbor when we agree. I would like to see them live that out. The rhetoric will change, but until they do some self-reflection and really get to understand, know, appreciate, and learn to respect the Trump voter, the Trump voting bloc has expanded. Their bloc is diminishing. And it's no longer people who just support Donald Trump. These are people who love America, want to see it thrive and prosper, and want to see a safe America with more opportunity for all Americans, not just for those on the right.
Oh, Peggy, it's so good talking to you. I can't wait for the next time you come over to Britain and we can go out for a drink. That's Peggy Grande, ladies and gentlemen. Isn't she incredible? So positive. I love her. I have a feeling that she might be in line for a little job again in the White House.